The trip back to the dead world took less than a day. Neither Kenny nor Pines spent much of it talking. Both understood what this mission actually was. Not a hunt, not a raid, not an extermination. A rescue. Or at least the first step toward one. The containment crate sat secured behind them in the cargo hold. Empty. Waiting. Pines glanced at it occasionally. You realize if this works, you're about to become responsible for an entire species. Kenny shrugged. If it works? If. Another pause. If it doesn't? Kenny looked out the viewport. Then we figure something else out. Pines sighed. That's the most Kenny answer I've ever heard. Hours later, the recovering world came into view. Even from orbit, the difference was obvious. Green. Not everywhere. But enough. Patches of farmland stretched across regions that had once been dead. Rivers flowed cleaner. Settlements looked larger. Roads connected villages. Life had returned. The shuttle descended toward the original settlement. The first village. The water pump village. The place where it all started. The landing gear touched down. The ramp lowered. Before Kenny even stepped outside, something small slammed into Pines. The former Eclipse survivor nearly fell over. A familiar little girl wrapped both arms around his waist. Pines looked down. Oh. The girl grinned. You came back. Pines laughed. Good to see you too. The little girl immediately looked around. Where's Aurora? Kenny stepped down the ramp. The girl's eyes immediately found him. Aurora didn't come this time. The smile faded slightly. Why? Kenny crouched to her level. Because we're here looking for the monsters. The little girl became serious immediately. A strange expression for someone so young, so nobody else gets hurt. The girl nodded, then quietly surprised both of them. Thank you. Kenny smiled softly, then stood. The girl grabbed Pines' hand. Come on. Oi. Pines pointed dramatically. I'm being kidnapped. The girl ignored him entirely. She began dragging him through town. The village had continued changing. New buildings, new crops, new infrastructure. Everywhere they looked, signs of recovery existed. People waved now. People smiled. People knew them. Trust had become normal. Eventually, they arrived at the administrative building. The village leader stepped outside. The man immediately smiled. Kenny. Pines. The pair shook his hand. Then, for the first time since they'd met, the man properly introduced himself. By the way, another shake. My name is Aaron. Pines blinked. I've known you for 2 years. Aaron laughed. I know, but you've never asked me my name. Another pause. Things were complicated. Fair enough. The little girl rolled her eyes. Dad talks too much. Everyone laughed. Aaron immediately pointed. See? Another grin. Never would have heard that sentence a couple years ago. The happiness in his voice was impossible to miss. The little girl smiled proudly, then ran off again, probably searching for another adventure. Aaron watched her go, still smiling, then looked back toward Kenny. What brings you here? Kenny didn't waste time. We think we know where the mutants are. Aaron's smile vanished. Instantly. The mutants? Kenny nodded. The magma tube. The reaction was immediate, like watching a light switch flip. Aaron's eyes widened, then widened further. Then he actually slapped his own forehead. Oh my God. The man laughed, then groaned, then laughed again. Pines blinked. What? Aaron pointed toward the distant mountains. Of course. Another point. Of course that's where they'd be. How did I never think of that? The realization had genuinely hit him. Everything suddenly made sense. The disappearances, the attacks, the sightings, the speed. Aaron shook his head. I've walked past that mountain hundreds of times. Kenny folded his arms. Then why never check it? Aaron immediately disappeared inside. A moment later he returned carrying 2 masks. Heavy-duty respiratory masks. The sort used around toxic environments. He threw one to Kenny, one to Pines. Both caught them. Aaron looked completely serious. Because that tunnel is poison. Silence. The man pointed toward the filters. Without those, you won't make it 10 minutes. Pines looked at the mask, then back at Aaron. You're joking. I'm not. Aaron folded his arms. The air burns. Another pause. The gas causes hallucinations. Most people throw up before they even reach the first bend. Pines looked significantly less excited now. Kenny smiled. Thanks for mentioning that. Aaron nodded. You're welcome. The plan was explained quickly. Capture, not kill, not attack, capture. The village leader looked surprised. Only one? Kenny nodded. Aaron frowned. Why? Kenny explained the cure, the testing, the scientists, the possibility of helping them, the possibility of reversing what Lord Rain had done. The room went silent. Then Aaron broke. Not completely, but enough. His eyes watered, his voice cracked. The man reached into a drawer, pulled out an old photograph, and handed it to Kenny. An elderly woman smiled back. Kind eyes, gray hair, a gentle face. My mother. The room became quiet. Aaron swallowed. She was taken. Aaron hicks softly as he tries to continue talking. Years ago, we never found her. If. His voice failed. If she's alive. He looked directly at Kenny. Please, try her first. The emotion in the room was crushing. Kenny carefully took the photograph, then nodded. If she's there. Another pause. We'll bring her home. Aaron closed his eyes. That answer alone seemed enough. The journey toward the mountain began shortly afterward. The further they traveled from town, the quieter the world became. Eventually, the entrance appeared, a massive crack in the mountainside, dark, ancient, wrong. Even from outside, strange sounds drifted outward. Clicks, scratches, occasional growls. Neither man needed confirmation anymore. Something lived down there. Pines adjusted his mask. Yep, hated already. Kenny activated a flashlight, then entered. The tunnel stretched deep underground, far deeper than expected. The toxic air became noticeable almost immediately. The masks proved their worth, without them. Aaron had been right. Eventually the tunnel widened again, then opened completely. Both men froze. The cavern was enormous. An underground world, and filled with them. Hundreds. No, more. At least 800. Mutated people slept throughout the cavern, some curled together, some alone, some hanging from rocky formations. The sight was unsettling, not because they looked evil, because they looked tragic, broken, ruined, victims. Among them, Kenny spotted something else, an elderly woman, the photograph, Aaron's mother. She was there, alive, sleeping, far too deep within the horde to safely reach. Pines spotted her too. Damn, Kenny nodded. Too dangerous. Not today, not yet. Then they noticed something smaller, a child, mutated, sleeping near the outskirts, easy access, easy extraction. Neither spoke. The decision was obvious. The operation took seconds. Kenny moved. The child was secured immediately. A gag, a restraint, then unconsciousness. No suffering, no injury, just sleep. The pair retreated quickly. The moment they reached the surface, the creature was secured inside the containment crate. Additional sedatives followed. Only then did Pines pull out a small device. Kenny watched. What are you doing? Pines tossed it toward the cave entrance. The machine activated instantly. An enormous energy net spread across the opening, completely sealing it. Kenny stared. Pines shrugged. Precaution. Another shrug. If they're hive-minded, they're going to notice little Timmy is missing. Kenny laughed. The former Eclipse survivor grinned. And look, he pointed proudly. It's a net. Silence. Kenny waited. Pines pointed again. They need air. Pines winks at Kenny. Holes in the lid. Kenny rubbed his face. You're impossible. Back in town, Aaron immediately rushed forward. The moment he saw the containment crate, he froze. Hope, fear, both. Kenny carefully explained everything. The mother, alive, seen, too difficult to reach, not forgotten. Aaron's eyes watered again. She's alive. Kenny nodded. She's alive. The relief nearly knocked the man over. Eventually the conversation shifted. Toward the future, toward rebuilding, toward politics. Aaron surprised them both. The settlements voted. Kenny blinked. For what? The leader smiled slightly. A house. Silence. The world wants its own house. Another pause. They chose me. Pines whistled. Congratulations. Aaron laughed nervously. I think. Then he looked toward Kenny. If. Another pause. If the mutant problem gets solved. Another. Would you speak to the Emperor? Kenny frowned. For what? Aaron stood taller. We want legitimacy. Another pause. We want to stand on our own. Another. Officially. Kenny smiled. The answer felt familiar. Very familiar. Let's solve this first. He tapped the containment crate. Then we'll talk. Aaron nodded. That was fair. More than fair. The farewells were shorter this time. Everyone knew there was work ahead. As the shuttle lifted from the surface, Aaron remained standing below. watching. The future leader of a recovering world, and inside the cargo bay. The first real chance at undoing Lord Rain's greatest crime slept quietly inside a containment crate as Kenny and Pines began the journey back to Reach.